Hi everybody! Hi Theo! So we're talking about Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings again. We want to make a comparison about the persons who have adapted these great stories into the screen. There's them, they wrote these stories, and then there's them who adapted it. Those two adaptations have had a prominent place in pop culture for a long, long time.
You know, most of us probably wouldn't have found out about these stories and gotten immersed in them if not for especially the beauty of the adaptations. Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. They really brought fantasy into the mainstream.
That they did.
Yeah. The Game of Thrones it is more collaborative because they have different directors that change episode to episode.
Right, and a lot going on at the same time, production-wise.
Right. D&D, they can't be everywhere at once.
And they never directed any.
And they don't direct the episode.
Right.
As opposed to Peter Jackson, who it was kind of he was kind of the one director that ruled them all.
Right.
It has to be said that their first efforts were, I think, superb. Say Fellowship of the Ring was a terrific movie.
Yeah, made you feel something.
Yeah, very connected. A few flaws as far as Frodo. Game of Thrones, the first season,
The best.
is absolutely terrific.
I can watch it 10 times.
Over and over.
Right.
They hit it out of the park in terms of adapting that first book, and even their additions are excellent.
Yes, nobody gives them enough credit for that.
No, they don't get enough credit for that. You know, all the scenes where there's no narrator in the scenes
from the book
are original scenes, like the scene between Jaime and Tywin, where he's skinning the deer in the tent, and he says all kinds of deep shit.
Right, and Robert and Cersei.
Varys and Littlefinger, their little chess game that they're playing.
Right.
But what do we have left once we abandon the lie? Chaos. A gaping pit waiting to swallow us all. Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
And then maybe my favorite line in the series was an addition in the scene where he's in jail and he's under and Varys is trying to convince him to to confess to save his daughter, and he tells him, "I was a soldier. I learned how to die a long time ago."
He was Italian? I'm a soldier. I learned to die.
You grew up around actors. You learned your part. You played it well. I grew up around soldiers. I learned to die a long time ago.
But also, I think in the Fellowship of the Ring, there's a little bit of over-dramatization. The books are very dramatic. Everything is epic and larger than life. But come on, every 2 seconds there's this fucking dramatic music. Great music. But very dramatic about all kinds of shit that you're not really scared that something bad is going to happen. Like when Sam drowns and they make it seem as if he's really drowning and dying.
That's very true.
I'm like, come on, can you just go on?
I had no concern that Sam would die in that scene.
And they did the same with what he did. You sometimes feel that there's too much violence, too much sex, gratuitous. Come on, what the fuck?
The problem is when they're so celebrated, so publicly celebrated, in some ways more publicly celebrated than the authors, especially Tolkien's, because he's dead, that they begin to say there's this glow about them that you feel that they're taking credit for something that they didn't create.
Where would they fucking be without him?
They would
still be rich, probably.
They'd still be rich, and Benioff would still be handsome.
Okay, but what else did the Romans ever done for us?
Well, yeah, obviously the roads. I mean, the roads go without saying, don't they? But apart from the sanitation, the aqueduct, and the road, irrigation.
But this has an interesting parallel in Tolkien's work.
How so?
Well, for Tolkien, he believed that sort of there was this one creator, and then man, because we're in his image, we want to create, but we're always sub-creators.
Right.
And the biggest sin that one could commit was to think oneself greater than the creator. And I think our sub-creators...
So they have the ring on them?
May have committed that sin.
They want to dominate the story. They feel as if they made it.
I think there may be some of that.
It's very human, actually.
It's very human. These were not guaranteed successes. They put their reputations on the line to make these films.
And they made money.
Yeah, and it's very natural when you're being acknowledged as the top of your field, as winning Academy Awards and these Emmys. It's very natural that maybe you'll start to resent that you don't have total ownership of this creation.
Right.
And that in some ways you may want to kind of block out that you owe this to a greater creative mind.
Right. You have to resist the power of the ring in order to stay humble.
You see that with Peter Jackson misunderstanding the ring.
Misunderstanding the ring.
It's kind
in
of
the
a biggie.
title of the.
Yeah. You see that it has this intense pull, that it makes you a sort of spazzed out kind of crackhead, especially hobbits.
Right.
It causes suffering.
Right.
And that it's a burden.
It's a burden.
And it's hard, but you don't get the sense that if you were to give in to the ring, you would be this domineering figure who challenge Sauron and take over the world.
I guess maybe only with Galadriel.
And in the sense that the ring challenged us internally to resist grandiosity. Maybe that's because the teller of the story wasn't interested in resisting his grandiosity.
Boom! Boom! And the same could be said, of course, about them. That when they start to write their own shit, seasons 5 and 6.
I make joke.
They don't have anybody else to rely on but their own talents.
Spit it out, you wee shit! Spit it out!
It is not on the level of quality.
Two translators are on a sinking ship.
Not in the narrative, not in the nuance, of course not in the dialogues.
More jokes.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
You have this spectacle. You have these great spectacles that captivate and that can be fascinating to watch. The investment in the characters, I would argue, is left over from the attachment we already have from the earlier seasons, where we care about Jon Snow, but it's really not based on anything that he did in seasons 5 and 6.
Right.
It's an alternate Jon Snow cover.
But you do have actually a first edition.
I do.
Okay, so show it to us.
No.
Why?
No, that stays behind the glass at home.
You've never opened it?
No, never opened it.
Did you ever read it on this edition?
Why would I do that? It's the same words as my Kindle. It's worth money.
Okay.
You understand money, right?
Money, we have money.
Right, so this is worth that.
Okay, so why don't you sell it?
It appreciates because it will be worth more money in the future.
And then you will sell it.
Yeah, maybe.
So do you understand money?
There's a sense that Peter Jackson didn't quite understand Tolkien's value system. He didn't understand what makes a person heroic.
Okay.
Especially with Frodo.
Okay, how so?
Well, Frodo, I mean, he is totally emasculated by Peter Jackson. Frodo is, he's hardy, he's brave in Tolkien's, his conception.
Right.
And you never get that sense that he's particularly brave or hardy. He's very sort of frail,
but
waifish.
He's trying.
He tries. People who are frail and waifish and try are great, and those can be great protagonists for stories, right? But
for other stories.
It doesn't make them hobbits, right? That's not the Hobbit thing, really. It's bravery in the face of things that are way bigger than you, but you don't back down, and you stay brave, no matter how bad it looks, right?
Right.
And then the spectacle of violence and action, well, it cuts against some of Tolkien's really closely held values that he kind of expresses in Faramir's character. Faramir is also completely wholesale abandoned in Peter Jackson's version.
Right.
The character that we see in Peter Jackson's version he's a trope that we recognize from lots of Hollywood writers' rooms.
Right.
As, oh, I want to do the good thing, the bad thing, and in the end, hey, I did the good thing, boom.
Right.
Faramir, he was very much his perfect man. He was educated, he was well-rounded, he was a great warrior, but he has one of the more important lines for Tolkien where he says, you know, I do not love the sword for its brightness or the arrow for its swiftness. I love that which they defend.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Why did that not appear in the movie?
Because the movie does love the sword for its brightness and the arrow for its swiftness. And there's a palpable sense of
right.
Time to kill some orcs, trumped up action,
right.
was kind of disagreed with the essence of his work.
Right. Right, and I think they not only misunderstand some of the characters, especially Tyrion, they also misunderstand the story. It's a political story, and all the political stuff has to be really tied together and has to make sense every single time. It has to be like The Wire in Middle Earth.
Hey, you! You need to open this door, man, for a huff and puff.
Everything has consequences. When you put these people together and they have different political views and different political structures, something happens. So instead of doing all that, he falls back on rape and murder. So what bugs me the most, honestly, is the way that they respond to criticism. We are allowed to criticize their choices. Their defense is either this, what it was like in medieval times, it was harsh and cruel and violent, so that's it. Come on, other things happened in medieval times. No, they chose to show something. We can criticize their choice. It's basically like a Star Trek shield defense. You can't criticize anything because that's what it was like. Somewhere, I'm sure somebody raped someone, and then that's fine. Or they're calling us hypocrites because we care more about Sansa's rape than about somebody else getting raped in the books. Did they complain after the Red Wedding that we got more upset that the beloved heroes died more than we did that just some schmuck died before? No, they were really happy. Ha ha ha. People are really sad that their beloved characters died. So now we react the same way with Sansa. So fucking shut the fuck up, man up, take the criticism, and move on. Okay, so let's sum things up for the final judgment. Basically, there's like a love-hate relationship, right, between us and the adapters.
Yeah.
We love the result of what they did. Part of the result is us talking here on this video. So thanks. Checks on the mail.
Yeah.
But we wanted it to be better than it is.
Be a little truer to the essence of their works, not necessarily the specifics of the works.
Exactly. We don't mind changes.
Don't mind changes.
Right, some
dramatic changes.
Right, like Brienne killing the Hound. I loved it.
Good stuff. That's in line with the spirit of the books. The tricky part is when they sort of brazenly countermand the essence of the source material. You know,
they had the benefit of existing fan bases
right.
who really wanted to watch their shit. But that's a double-edged sword. Now the fact that so many people feel so strongly about it, they're gonna speak their mind.
Sure sign that something's not quite right is both Christopher Tolkien, Tolkien's son and the editor of all Tolkien's ancillary work, and George Martin's co-writers in A Song of Ice and A Song of Ice and Fire have turned their back on the adaptations and said explicitly that they can't look. Something went wrong.
Okay, what do you think? Please share in the comments. And if you want us to do some more of these videos, you could support us on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/GOT Academy. The link is in the description. And here are some of our previous videos that you might not have watched. Bye everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.